Good afternoon, everybody. We've got a major severe weather outbreak yet again happening across a large portion of the central part of the country. Early this morning, there was a very strong line of storms that moved through portions of Oklahoma and Kansas. It brought some levels of severe weather to them. The eastern third of Oklahoma actually did see some storm damage. Owasso is one of those locations that saw homes damaged with roofs ripped off and things of that nature. And now the severe weather risk continues to shift further off to the east. So a large kind of just conglomerate of severe thunderstorm warnings for northern Mississippi and into western Tennessee, right over Memphis, Tennessee. And then a lot of severe thunderstorm warnings and multiple tornado warnings pretty much just north of the Little Rock area in Arkansas, up through northern Arkansas, south and southeastern Missouri, and then up toward the St. Louis metro area here. So we have a multitude of watches and warnings in effect and in place. So obviously those kind of outlined smaller boxes are the tornado warnings and severe thunderstorm warnings. But there is a large tornado watch from the outskirts of the Chicago metro all the way down through into central Arkansas, northern Mississippi. And again, I mentioned kind of the Memphis, Tennessee, and Paducah, Kentucky area are going to be really the bullseye for what could potentially be a historic severe weather and potential tornado outbreak here throughout the rest of this evening and the overnight period. But it's not just about the severe weather here this evening. Unfortunately, in the pattern that's kind of be set up here over the next several days, inches, potentially upwards of a foot of rain could be on the way for many of these locations. So because of that, a flood watch is in effect. There's flash flood warnings in effect for some of the rivers in and along the Mississippi River Delta as well, through western Tennessee up into Kentucky, Indiana, and Illinois. There is the potential for a generational flood event for some of these locations there across the Mississippi River Valley and the Delta there as you kind of head up into Tennessee, Kentucky, and Illinois. So this is just kind of zooming in a little bit closer. Here is just north of Little Rock. So several severe thunderstorm warnings there up toward kind of the Branson, Missouri area, big resort location there in southern Missouri. And similar story for the Memphis metro as well. A lot of storms just kind of around that area. So this is a live look out of Memphis here right now. Storm clouds certainly on the horizon. Doesn't look like it's currently raining in downtown Memphis, at least for the time being, but it definitely will be here later on this evening. Now, further up to the north, now we're moving into Missouri, just to the south of St. Louis. A lot of strong storms there. So you have two tornado warnings with severe thunderstorm warnings attached to them in southeastern Missouri. It's a fairly rural area there in the Ozarks, kind of a mountainous area. But then you do have a supercell thunderstorm that is potentially spawning a tornado, or at least a funnel cloud that is just to the south and southwest of the St. Louis metro. So again, this is going to be a pretty significant event. The Storm Prediction Center issued a level 5 out of 5 high risk for severe weather all the way from kind of the southern part of Arkansas up through Memphis and up toward Paducah, Kentucky here today. And kind of just unbelievable to think that we're only to April 2nd and the Storm Prediction Center has already issued two high-risk, severe weather risks or severe weather threats. Typically, you might get 2, maybe 3 all spring and summer. And here we are. I mean, we're just at the start of kind of spring storm season, and we've already had 2 high-risk areas. So major severe weather event going on out across those locations. So Arkansas, Missouri, Illinois, Kentucky, Tennessee, really going to be the hotbed for severe weather here throughout the rest of this evening. There is the potential for not only long track tornadoes, but potentially EF2 and greater tornadoes, particularly in that high risk of that pink shaded area near the Memphis area once that main line in the front begins to slide eastward. So the tornado risk is substantial here today, but it's not just that. There's also a very large and wide scope or wide ranging wind risk. So severe weather or severe wind gusts could be anywhere from 55 upwards of 70 to even 75 miles per hour. That overall wind risk is a little bit further northward, so much more into western Kentucky, Illinois, Indiana, and even far southwestern Ohio, so near Cincinnati, does have a slightly better chance to see some of those strong wind gusts. And then nearly everyone along this area does have the potential for some large hail as well, anywhere from golf ball, quarter-size hail would certainly be very, very possible in some of these storms. And really just kind of how it's set up here, there is this huge influx of deep Gulf Coast moisture just kind of being pumped into the Mississippi River Valley and really the southeastern or south central portion of the country. There is an upper level low kind of up across Iowa and let's say Minnesota. If I take it back here one, you can kind of see where that low goes. If I advance it, that low kind of skirts up across the Great Lakes area, but the moisture stays intact, and this front kind of just stalls out over the same location because you notice that high pressure system does not move at all just off to the east of the Jacksonville area. So because of that high pressure, Florida and the southeastern coast is baking in the heat and humidity. Meanwhile, areas off to the west like northern Mississippi, Arkansas, Louisiana, Tennessee, Kentucky, those folks continue to stay right along that boundary, and just the moisture continues to get pumped in. The heat continues to get pumped in. So that is just plenty of fuel and gas for these storms to continue to go and get revved up. And all that moisture will eventually lead to just rain and storms training over the same locations day in and day out. So today's Wednesday. That will be kind of the first round of storms. I'll take it back here through so you can just see it go through again. More rain and storms on the way for those same locations tomorrow. So here it goes through your Thursday. Now we're getting into late Thursday night and into early Friday morning. You see more rain and storms over the exact same locations there in the central part of the country. And then even into Saturday. So waves of energy kind of keep getting ejected or propagated by the jet stream out of kind of the Mexican plateau is the origin of these. So these kind of short waves of energy keep coming along that boundary that's stalled over the Memphis and Paducah area. And that's why they unfortunately are going to continue to see rounds upon rounds and waves of rain and storms here over at least the next 3 to 4 days. But specifically for today, we kind of talked about the risk a little bit. The wind shear is substantial. You see those pinks and purples and bright red colors starting to pop up here in the helicity instability. That's really just showing you that there is plenty of low and mid-level rotation within the atmosphere. So not only are isolated tornadoes possible, but strong, long-track tornadoes will certainly, unfortunately, be a possibility for a lot of those folks. Again, think western Kentucky, western Tennessee, and northern Mississippi. Okay, so yeah, this is a live video out of Missouri. So it looks like
old video.
Okay, old video, excuse me. Yeah, so this was from a shed that looks to have gotten upturned and rolled over by some high-level winds there. So unfortunately, I suspect that this will be a common theme, and I certainly wouldn't be surprised if we see even more, and worse damage videos and pictures than we're seeing here. So this is just one of what will unfortunately likely be many more scenes like this. So these are really just, times when the community has to come together. Oh, there's a good shot. Yeah, garage taking a lot of damage there. So that definitely looks like straight line wind damage. The metal's not really twisted or anything like it typically is in tornado damage. But yeah, there was some metal sheeting up in the roofing there. There are some power lines down and telephone lines down. So yeah, some roof damage on there. Yeah, so they actually got a couple of different power lines down. Yeah, there's a good look at the roof damage. So again, this is in Missouri. Andy, do we know where in Missouri this is?
Actually, city called Nevada for this one.
So it's Nevada, Missouri?
Yeah.
Okay, I don't happen to know where that is, but do you know how long ago this was? I'm assuming from this afternoon. So it's not a live look, right? But it's from this afternoon, I'm guessing?
Yes.
Okay. So yeah, this is from the storms that are making their way through now. It's not a live look, but it's from the exact same system. So yeah, there's what looks to be some sort of Chinese restaurant that got some pretty significant damage, the Dragon Walk. So, oh wow, that's some big damage. Now that's looking much more like tornado damage rather than straight line wind stuff. Wow. Yeah, when you start to see the innards and the inside of buildings, and there's the insulation being tossed around and things of that nature, that's often when you start to see at least EF1 to, if not EF2 or EF3 tornado damage. Roofs are typically ripped off once you get to around that EF2 range. Once you get to EF3, not only are the roofs off, but you're getting damage to the interior of your home. So some walls are potentially able to come down, and that's kind of when I said, the insulation begins to get tossed about. There's a lot of sheet metal just kind of wrapped around a ton of trees. That's often something you'll see in these events. The debris gets kind of twisted around a lot of telephone poles and trees and things of that nature due to the circulation and the rotation within a lot of those tornadoes and those just rotating storms in general. So, some harrowing scenes out of Missouri from this afternoon. And again, areas in Arkansas, Tennessee, Mississippi, Kentucky have a very, very good chance to see more of that here throughout the rest of your Wednesday night and into kind of the overnight period as well. This is just another kind of forecasting thing we look at, the energy available in the atmosphere. The overall CAPE levels, the convective available potential energy is what we call it, are certainly a little bit higher further south, but this really just gives you a good idea. The atmosphere is very unstable in this location, so you kind of factor in the instability, the low-level moisture, the rotation and the wind shear in the atmosphere as well. This is kind of the significant tornado parameter. When you start getting into those yellows and oranges and reds and even pink colors, that's when you're seeing a very good chance to see some, not only tornadoes, but stronger EF2 plus tornadoes on the way. So again, this is just the latest look at the satellite and radar there. So a collection of severe thunderstorm warnings around Memphis, and then there is a strong, very, very strong, dangerous line of storms pretty much set up from the northern side of Little Rock in Arkansas up through the St. Louis metro area. And now I do see we do have, can you make that full quick, Andy? It does look like we have a couple tornado warnings to the southwest of Chicago there in central Illinois. So I would assume that's kind of near the Peoria area. So there's going to be a lot of meteorologists that are very, very busy across the central part of the country here tonight. So if you have any friends or family who live in this part of the country, check in with them. Let them know they've got some bad weather and storms headed their way here throughout the remainder of tonight. And not only tonight, as I said, because that front stalled right over this area and you get these waves of energy coming in, the moisture just remains relentless, continues to be pumped in. Inches upon inches of rain are going to be on their way over the next 3 to 4 days. So you can see here, this is from the Weather Prediction Center, their 7-day outlook on how much rain. Many locations could see anywhere from 7 to 10 inches. Localized areas could see upwards of 10 to 15 inches of rain. So that's, a month's worth of rain. That could be 2 to even 3 months worth of rain in the span of, 72 to 128 hours or whatever it may be. So a lot of very heavy rain. Again, I mentioned this earlier. This could be a major flooding event, not only for the Mississippi River itself, but you have to think all of those smaller creeks and streams that flood initially all have to go somewhere. They all get fed into some of those larger rivers and then eventually into the Mississippi. So I certainly wouldn't be surprised if we see a lot of flooding video out of these areas as the days kind of wear on here and we get closer to the weekend and into even early next week as well. Now, for us here on the First Coast, we don't have to deal about severe weather, but we do have rain chances on the way, at least over the next 7 days. We're looking closer to about 1 to 2 inches. Most of that's going to hold off until really the end of the weekend and into early next week. So for tonight, few isolated storms really to the north of the Okefenokee, Pierce and Ware County. Even Brandley County had an isolated storm rolling on in. Looks like there might just be 1 or 2 showers trying to develop there to the southwest of Green Cove in Clay County, but otherwise, mostly clear skies for many of us. It's still, though, a steamy afternoon. Now, 75 in St. Simon's Island is the cool spot. Otherwise, it's upper 80s in Jacksonville down to NAS Jackson, Orange Park. Inland locations, flirting with that 90-degree mark. You got 90 in Palatka and Keystone Heights, 92 in Waycross here. And then you factor in the humidity. It feels like the low to mid 90s for many areas along and west of I-95. So best place to be this afternoon and this evening is going to be out at the beach. You have those strong winds coming out of the southeast. That'll try to cool you down at least a little bit. Sustained winds 15 to 20, gusts closer to about 25 to even 30 miles per hour at times out along the beaches. So rain chances overall the rest of this evening, again, will remain low for Jacksonville. Inland locations are going to have the best chance overall as temperatures gradually, slowly start to dip down into the 70s and then eventually into the mid 60s here overnight tonight. So if you have any outdoor plans, just be sure to stay hydrated, as best you can today, and certainly so tomorrow as well. Going to be another steamer. Hot, humid, mostly sunny skies by the afternoon. Temperature-wise, I think mid 80s will probably be the low end of what we see. More than likely, high temperature is going to be in the upper 80s, close to 90 degrees. Tomorrow's first day of the Clay County Fair as well. So if you're going down there, be sure you hydrate as much as you can tonight and throughout the day tomorrow, because our bodies really aren't acclimated or accustomed to this heat just yet. If this was mid-July, we would think nothing of it. It would just be another summer day. But getting this near record, if not record-breaking heat through the first few days of April is certainly a hit and a shock to the system that your body doesn't always handle and react to very well. So mid 90 real field temperatures are certainly going to feel worse right now than they would if we were in the middle of the summer. And unfortunately, this is going to continue through the end of the week into the weekend. But then you notice Monday and then into Tuesday and Wednesday, that big drop in the dew point. So the humidity will drop down substantially, as will the temperature. So our near record highs will continue through Saturday and Sunday. You'll notice there what the records are and what our forecasted highs are. So there certainly could be a couple days that we at least tie, if not break, a record. But then Sunday into Monday, nice big temperature drop back down into the mid 80s there. And that will be because of that very same system that is bringing severe weather to the central part of the country right now. Once the high pressure to our east finally moves away, that will allow that front to head toward our backyards and our front door here. So early Monday morning, there is going to be a chance for some strong to, if not severe, storms. Storm Prediction Center does have a slight risk area out for the northern part of the Suwannee and the Okefenokee. So Ware and Pierce County are included in this right now. So folks up toward Waycross, or really northwest of Folkston, will have the best chance to see some of those strong storms there early on Monday. And this is really kind of what we're looking at. So that high pressure moves away, and then here comes the cold front just off to our west on Sunday throughout the day. So if you're heading out toward Tallahassee at all on Sunday, you'll have the chance to see some rain there, but it really won't reach us until Monday afternoon, and then continuing through the evening will be our best chances for not only some rain and some thunderstorms. Behind it then, more rain I think lingers into at least the first half of Tuesday, and then we finally do look to clear out by late Tuesday afternoon and evening, and into early next Wednesday as well. But I think the much needed thing will be the huge temperature drop on the way behind that cold front back into the 60s and 70s then by next Tuesday and Wednesday. So endure the heat and humidity here over the next 4 days as best you can. There is, some hope and some relief on the way then, by the early to the middle part of next week, at least for folks on the First Coast and here in Jacksonville and in Northeast Florida and Southeast Georgia. Now, again, main part of this was really just a highlight and talk about that severe weather threat and risk across the central part of the country that will continue here throughout the remainder of this evening and tonight. And again, the flooding concern will really become the major perhaps talking point nationally news-wise as we kind of head into Friday and the weekend here as more rain and storms are headed their way. But for the time being, that is all I've got for you. So appreciate you tuning in. And as always, thanks for watching. Take care, stay safe, and stay weather aware out there, folks.